Tell people a little bit about Wuhan, the Hubei province, its size, its scale, what's the history of Wuhan, how big it is, because just Americans are just now coming to understand the story.
Yes, sir. But first, I like to say a few words why I'm here today and who I speak for. I'm here to speak for VOG, the Voice of Guo Media, and I like to speak for the people of Wuhan. So VOG is an online community. So we have about 40,000 people who supporting Mao Guo's whistleblowing movement. So one of our programs is to provide people from China a platform so that they can speak freely without fear. So what is actually happening in China? We broadcast twice a day to let people from Wuhan to tell their true story during this pandemic. Now, getting back to your question, so Wuhan is really located in central China. It has the size of France, 11 million people, so it's a big city, almost 40% of larger in population than New York City. Because this is a natural location, Wuhan is a transportation hub in China. People often call it Chicago of China, but just with much warmer and humid subtropical weather in summer. Two big rivers, Yangtze and Han River, running through the city. So it has, in bad years, it has big floods as well. But these two rivers divide the city into three towns like Wuchang, Hankou, and Wuhan. And this Wuhan really is a city with a 3,500 years of long history and a rich culture. So one of the historical event you probably know is the 1911 Wuchang Uprising, also called Wuchang Revolution, that took down the Qing dynasty that led to the founding of the Republic of China. The Republic of China we know nowadays is called Taiwan, is where Chinese people freely enjoy the freedom and the democracy. Thank you, sir.
For our audience, and before we go about how the CCP did it, why can't you do a show every day? You've got 40,000 supporters. You get many more hundreds of thousands listening in. Well, talk to us. What's the firewall, and why can't citizens of China, who are among the most educated in the world and the smartest in the world, we see this at university. I went to Harvard. Now Chinese are at Harvard, and they're doing fantastic. They're at all the Ivy League schools, American universities. They're the smartest guys in the class. Why can't they get free access? What is the firewall, and why can't the Chinese people get access to the internet?
So the free wall is really Chinese is to control the internet, is restrict Chinese citizen to find out the truth outside the world. It's also the denied access to for the foreigners to China inside, because the Chinese Communist Party they don't want people from outside the world to know what are actually happening inside China. So they build this wall just to try to hide the truth, to suppress the information, and to even lie to their citizens.
So tell the world right now, before they got the quarantine and this became a global story in late January, when this was first spreading, what was the Chinese Communist Party? What were they actually doing in Wuhan in that month of December and January before it became a national news? What were they actually doing to help the citizens of Wuhan stop the spread of this killer disease?
Yes, sir. So we know this virus originated from Wuhan. That's a fact. So CCP's Wuhan local government knew the spread of this virus in local hospital in the middle of December, actually. When Dr. Li Wenliang warned his colleagues of this virus on WeChat, Wuhan government decided to silence Dr. Li and downplay the seriousness. So telling Wuhan medical system not let public know this and must not share this information on internet. Any information about this virus online must be censored. The first thing CCP is hiding the information and lying to the public. So now on January 2nd, the Wuhan government has formed this virus emergency task force to address, quote, prevention and control this SARS-like epidemic, quote. This task force includes people from the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Public Security, Political and Legal Affairs Commission, even the people from the National Security Council. So the CCP leaders in Beijing know this virus from the beginning of the January. They knew it is contagious and transmissible from human to human, but they choose to cover up all the information for 3 weeks until the January 21st. Then they locked down Wuhan on January 23rd. The night before the lockdown, 300,000 Wuhan people fled out of the city. All this point to one conclusion. CCP failed to prevent and control the virus, and this is the cause of the global pandemic. It also covered up the data and the information about this virus by destroying samples, scrubbing contaminated areas, erasing early reports, holding back academic articles. So there is a scientist in Shanghai. They first published this genome sequence of this virus, but the CCP retaliated and closed their lab. So, and
John, hang on for 1 second. I'm gonna hold you over through the commercial break because we got to get into more details in this.